Hey there, and welcome to the Traveling Homesteader and Gyroscope Farm. I'm kind of camping out gardening right now, and so I thought I'd kind of invite you along and maybe give you some tips and tricks for your garden. Now, in my garden, I have kind of two places, and right now what's right behind me is rather gnarly looking. So I have some lemon balm behind me. I have my potted blueberries here. I have some flowers and in this area, and then I have some other potted plants over here, but up in my upper garden, I have some other plants that I kind of get watering, and we'll see that in just a minute. But I wanted to kind of invite you to share with you some tips and tricks I've learned along the way about gardening. And one of them is to garden to water in the evenings. And you're going to see my bees kind of flying around. My beehive is just over here. My bees, I'm finding, strangely enough, want to hang out with me. And so they'll fly around whenever I'm around and kind of check things out. So in case you hear buzzing, it's just my bees hanging out. So, in fact, we even have one here. I don't know what it is, but they like to hang out with me. After all that difficulty in getting them, they want to hang out. So, first off, we're going to start watering in the evening. So, as we get talking, I'll be watering my blueberries. Now, when we do this, it's for a couple of reasons. One, with it being so hot lately, the heat during the day and the sun will help evaporate any water that comes out. I forget the exact percentages, but when you water during the daylight hours, there's been a study that, Dee was saying hello. There's been a study that says that you lose more water when you water your plants during the day to evaporation than to anything else. And so you don't want to waste your water on evaporation. So that's why I started watering more in the evenings. And by watering in the evenings, it's also cooler for you. Right now it's still a little bit warm, but it's okay. It's a lot cooler than it was even just an hour ago. So as we do this, we can kind of help save ourselves the heat, the water, the energy, and it helps our plants conserve energy as well. So you never want to water your plants at like the heat of the day, from like 10 until about 4. You don't want to be watering your plants at that time. You either want to do it early morning or in the evening. I prefer in the evening because then they can absorb all the water in the evening and it stays longer in the soil, I feel. But the other thing you might want to consider doing to kind of beat the heat is make sure that you, if you even need to, just do your gardening in the dark. Some people will take a headlamp out and do that, but you want to be able to kind of be most effective with your garden at different times of the day and in the night. And since it's been so hot around here, we will generally kind of let things just be quiet during the day, and you can go picking at night. But remember, things like green beans should not be watered and then picked because it forms something called rust on the beans. So you want to be able to, if you're going to pick something like green beans, pick them before you water them, because then you don't have the rest of your plant being wasted after you've picked your green beans. But also you want to do heavy watering on things like tomatoes and only water them every few days. You don't need to water them every day. But things like tomatoes appreciate a real deep, heavy watering, and then watering helps them out only in the long run by doing one heavy watering every few days, 2 to 3 days. So this would actually be a really great time of the year to plant something like garlic, because then you can plant the garlic and wait till the spring to have it come up. So don't forget that even though that this is midsummer and probably mid-harvest for most plants, you can start actually planting other things as well to have a little bit mid to late fall harvest to help you get through the winter. The third thing I like to do is actually related to watering, is I like to just take my hose, put it on the spray, and just spray the leaves of all my plants. And by doing that, I allow the plants to actually gain another way to get water. So remember, plants can actually take in things from their leaves. And so that's why I will sometimes just give them a watering on their leaves as well as in their soil. So with that in mind, I hope this has helped you out a little bit. really quick and easy. Water in the evenings, water your leaves of your plants, and harvest things like green beans before watering so that you don't risk having blights like rust on the leaves. So this is still the time of year that bees are puddling around getting pollen off flowers. So you may want to consider also what time of the day you water to help the bees keep pollinating those flowers that are still around, whether they be here like on the blackberries or in your garden, depending on what kind of flowers you have flowering right now. Could be anything that's growing in your garden for food, or even the flowers that you might have as beautification in your garden, like dahlias or gladiolas, that sort of thing. So when we consider the bugs around that help our gardens grow, that's another thing that you might want to kind of work around, so to allow them to kind of help us out. With my new bee colony that I have, my bees are actually going to be really helpful to my plants so that they'll grow even better. So that's something that you might consider as well, is taking on something like a pollinator, whether it could be bats or butterflies or bees. These are really important to our gardens, and they actually take up rather small amounts of space. A beehive is maybe 3 feet squared versus a bat house that you can put on the side of a building that's maybe 6 inches wide by about 2 feet tall. So that's actually a really added bonus too, and you can always have butterflies coming around to help with pollination as well, whether they're on flowers or if you have a water feature in your garden, that could also be a good site for other pollinators to come around as well. And if you have any other suggestions, please put your comments down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And remember, we also have an ebook for you on self-reliance that includes a section on gardening and how it can better help you in different ways through gardening yourself in a couple of different styles: raised beds, hydroponics, traditional in the soil gardening, as well as other areas of self-reliance like finances and education. So come check out the links below on our ebook that's come out. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and keep coming back for more about self-reliance. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope to see you again soon.